let's switch gears and talk a little bit about privacy. That is a buzzword that everyone's concerned about. Anytime that there is a hack of a major corporation, we hear about concerns of privacy. How is overall our lack of personal privacy in this digital age hurting our own personal security?
Okay, well, I can give you kind of a scenario, which I think will lead right into that. So a lot of marketing firms, you've heard the term big data, where basically there's scads of information flowing across the internet and it's being caught either by marketing agencies or sales agencies or sold to them to target ads at people and things like that. And you can get through that people's names, email addresses, where they like to shop, their favorite color is, all that kind of stuff. So that when emails or even phone call scams, which are becoming really popular, shows up either on your phone or in your mailbox, it's really well targeted for you. They can engineer the email so it looks, they know something about you when they write the message. It's not just, your Nigerian prince asking for $1 million. It's saying, hey, I sent you this package, and they might have your actual address or your phone number, or they know you have a Bank of America account or something like that. Bank of America account. So the social engineering has really ramped up their complexity. They really take that privacy, which is gone because they've collected all this information on you, to make the engineering methods to convince you to click on that link or open that attachment really, really convincing. Because at the base level, the weakest link is us. Is the person.
In feeding the big data, when you look at what's happened over the last decade between your free apps, right? Whenever, we like to say, whenever something's free, you are the product. Then that's the case with Google, with Facebook, with LinkedIn, with what used to be MySpace and all these others. So, they collect a lot of your information, your birth date, your names, your relatives, the preferences that you have. Every time you click on a like, it's building a profile about you. When you are tagged in pictures and posts, it's doing a profile. I would argue that just about anybody on Facebook that's been, tagged a number of times can have a 3D image of them developed by a computer. So all this information, right, if you look at Facebook and Google, they're were two of the most wealthy organizations that really the predominance of their products were free. And the reason that they were able to derive revenue is by selling your information. Or in the case as was described, for instance, with campaigns right now, if you go on to Facebook and you have a particular campaign, you can pick the demographic, you can pick particular interests and all these things, and that's how they're now selling that marketing aspect to you to propagate through a very targeted market. So the good news is that marketers love it. The bad news is that it's really an invasion on our privacy, and it's a non-suspecting public that is, using this medium to communicate with, old friends. I mean, I found a school friend from college, and, I haven't seen her since 1985, and found her through Facebook, and that's a great end result. But what I've given up to have that mesh connection with her is a lot of private information. And so
I can think of, just if you don't mind, one more really good example is a really popular email scam was a CEO scam. Even Twin State saw this come through. And basically what happens is an email, it looks like it's coming from the CEO, say Debbie, to an accounting person. It says, hey, did you need more information on that wire transfer? Right, and it looks like it's coming from Debbie. If you dug in underneath the email header, which most people don't do, you'll see it's some completely made up email address, but people aren't going to see that. And also there's no links, no attachments, nothing in the email to say, oh, I'm glaringly some kind of bad email. Next thing you know, they're developing a correspondence, a kind of relationship between each other. Next thing you know, the CEO has, the accounting person has authorized this wire transfer of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Of course, where did this information come from? Basically, somebody on LinkedIn has said, hey, I'm now the CEO of company X. And the people, this isn't necessarily collecting that big data, but the bad guys are knowing to look on LinkedIn to say, okay, who's got a promotion recently? I mean, I get notifications from my friends that have gotten promotions at work, and they know, oh, let's target that person. So it's getting really, I mean, not only they're just trying to infect you outright, they're trying to build a relationship so they can convince you to do stuff.
So this sounds almost overwhelming because as someone who uses Facebook and uses LinkedIn in various aspects of my life, is the solution just shut this all down, or is there some kind of a simple set of priorities or objectives that you should always have in mind when you're utilizing these kinds of social media sites, Ed?
Well, I think you have to always think about what that information could be used for. You have to develop a healthy sense of skepticism about the information that you're providing and who's asking for the information. I'll give you an example. Just a couple weeks ago, I got a free pass for one of the gyms here in town. And when I went to use it, the person behind the desk said, okay, great, I'm glad you're using this, but we need to get a little information from you. I said, okay. So they wanted my name, my address, my phone number, my date of birth. At that point, I said, stop. Do you really need all this information for me to use this free pass? And she kind of smiled and said, well, not really. All you need to do is sign this form and you can go. So the point is to be judicious about the information that you give out. Kind of question, do people really need all that information? Sometimes it's for marketing, but she's collecting that information and she's putting it in a database. And how secure is her database? I don't know anything about that. And that's part, a good part of my identity that can be used. So people just need to to live in this world today, you have to give out information, but you have to just be a little bit judicious about it. Think, before you just give it out blindly.